Rachael Caldwell as Arkansas takes on Vanderbilt. Razorbacks are coming off of 3 straight overtime games, one of them a win, 2 draws on the road against Ole Miss and LSU. Not a bad result.
Definitely not, especially if we consider how many times they came back to tie the game in that LSU match. 3 separate times, one in the dying seconds of the match. So definitely a resilient effort from the Razorbacks on the road. Here tonight, want to get back in this home rhythm, undefeated at home, want to keep it that way, and notch a big win against Vanderbilt.
And for the Commodores, they're just looking to make a statement here. They're a rebuilding team right now. They're 5-5-1 on the season. Having a big bounce back year, a win tonight would go a long way for the Commodores.
And when you consider how much tougher their SEC schedule is from here on out, having to face Florida, A&M, Missouri, and South Carolina. Those are 4 top teams in this league. Getting a win early, getting a win here tonight, that's big for them. Second leading goal scorer from last season, an absolute speedster up top, gave Arkansas's defense fits last year in that exciting 5-4 win. Look for her to come up big for the Commodores tonight.
But Katie Moore is right there for Ellenwood, and Arkansas starts things off with a goal.
Excellent high pressure from Katie Moore. And that's what we saw a lot on Friday night. Arkansas pressing the defense in their final third, and excellent job by Katie Moore to create the turnover, and just a great cross in front of the goal mouth. Ellenwood crashing the net, slots it home easily.
This is around the defender. Lefty cross in, headed on, and in! Razorbacks have the late goal.
That was beautiful soccer. That was beautiful soccer. Just about everything that could have gone right on that play did. Starting with Ellenwood bodying off the defender to get the ball in the midfield, slotting Forstall down the line, who then lays it off to Moore, cuts by the defender and sends in a great ball, just trickles into the back of the net. The first mistake made the entire game by Hoffer, and it goes into the net. Excellent soccer there from Arkansas, front to back. Just a great job.
George Miller at right center back. Boots it forward. Arkansas using its speed. Here's Fisher. And the ball floats by the post.
And yet again, another long ball in over the top. It seems to be working for Arkansas so far. Fisher's had a lot of chances in behind that defensive line, but those runs have got to filter in afterwards. She's kind of stranded there with that shot, trying to make something out of nothing. It would have been an amazing goal had it gone in, but that's a difficult chance to try to create when you're one on basically 4 defenders. Coach, are there any main defensive changes that you may make with your back line in the second half?
No, we're not going to do anything differently from a personnel standpoint. We're going to actually change more of our defensive scheme in the midfield, to be fair. So we'll make those adjustments in the midfield, and then we'll see what shape we roll into as the second half progresses.
Now, how surprised are you, Rachel, that Arkansas is getting this much open space in the defensive third of SFA?
There seems to be a real disconnect here between the midfield and the back line. Anytime you play a 4-3-3, you run the danger of having these wings wide open. We've seen it with Kelly, and we've seen it with Moore. They've been able to take advantage of that weakness in a 4-3-3 formation. So we may see the Lady Jacks make some sort of adjustment, bringing back another midfielder, but I think that's the main weakness for them right now is on the wings. And it does look like they've shifted back to some sort of a 4-4-2 away from that 4-3-3. They know that Arkansas is just punishing them on the wings right now. They're going to try to make some changes to avoid that. And you see, while Riggs was wide there, she was getting a lot of pressure from the outside back, because the outside back doesn't have to worry about going forward in a 4-4-2, so you can kind of see how that change in lineup is helping SFA defensively a bit.
I think they've had several opportunities where they've gotten Mothershed out on a run, and it's definitely been challenging for this back line. I think it's safe to say there's nothing more terrifying as a defender than having a quick player like that sprinting straight at you with the ball, because you don't know what they're going to do. If there's a pass available, they're going to just cut right around you. It's pretty terrifying. So I think that the Kangaroos have done a good job of just sort of trying to play their own game, maintaining what possession they get, and then trying to play Mothershed long.
And we talk about that loss that Kentucky just had against Pepperdine, 3-2, and a lot of those Pepperdine goals were created from direct play and counterattacking. And we just discussed how Arkansas can really excel at direct play, especially when you're playing 4 forwards up top, right? So I think this is definitely an interesting tactical difference that these 2 teams will be battling out today.
What point does it become bunker in if you're Arkansas?
I'm not sure it really ever does become bunker in for Arkansas, because I think there's a lot of dangerous players on this Kentucky squad, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're just sitting back in your own third while they fire in shot after shot and then cross after cross, creating so many chances, because that just gets hard to defend even if you are trying to bunker. I think they want to stay in their style of game, try to get some offensive breaks if they can, but certainly don't try to get in there and bunker too early if that is your game plan. But I think it's a little dangerous to play that way when you consider you have Gilliland, who's going to fire in shots at will.
Well, against Missouri, we saw a lot of TCU trying to get the ball down into the corner, bring it back in from wide, and create chances off the cross into the box. I think maybe with this game against an Arkansas team that seems to be doing that same strategy against them, maybe try to settle the ball down, because if you get it on the ground, Arkansas is not going to have a chance to really send it long and have their players out sprint you. Get it on the ground, calm down, get some touches on the ball, and maybe try to create something outside of the box.
This has been a match that, quite frankly, we expected to be high scoring. We expected to see a lot of offensive opportunities, and it has not developed that way at all.
Most definitely. The ball's been kind of stuck in the midfield in this game. Kentucky really playing to their strengths, keeping that possession, patiently trying to create some chances, and I think they've really stopped that fast break for Arkansas, which is something really focusing on after that Pepperdine game. That's something you want to shut down. They've done that successfully.
And the Wildcats have looked good on set pieces.
Oh, most definitely. Something that usually we're talking about as a strength for Arkansas has kind of turned into a strength for Kentucky in this game. But to be fair, Arkansas's marked well on these set pieces, and that's why we're scoreless.
What needs to change? What needs to happen here for just somebody to get a breakthrough?
Got to get it out of that midfield, distribute wide, try to create some plays. I think we saw earlier Lindsey Mayo with a nice switch of the field to create a chance for Arkansas. If maybe one of these teams can switch the field a little more, we could see a lot more chances open up in this game.